when I got fired by Ric Flair, who was also an asshole, I went to, I had a meeting the very next day with Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon. And they wouldn't let me out of my contract in Atlanta. So Vince suggested that I hang around the studio while my contract is still being fought over to learn about how production's done, how they do it. So I'm watching Bruce, because Bruce at the time was head of production. He was the producer. And I like Bruce. He was a good friend of mine. And I have nothing against him. It's just how the wrestling business operates. And it shows you why other things fall apart because of the lack of cooperation. They had a guy named Kerwin Siffles, and he was a producer. And they had spent all day trying to get a certain camera shot for a press conference they wanted to shoot. And Kerwin comes in, and Bruce comes in, and I just followed Bruce around with my lunch, because that's what I had to do for a couple months while I had to set up my contract. And Kerwin looks at the camera, and a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. He's looking at that camera. I got the shot. Oh man, I got the shot. Bruce, come here. I got the shot. And here comes Bruce, and he waddles. This is when he was Brother Love, and he waddled over, man, doing a Roddy Piper imitation. He walked over, and he looked in the camera, and he goes, holy fuck, Kerwin, that is the best fucking angle you could ever get in your life. Fuck. As he says this, Vince walks in. Goes, Vince, I want you to fucking see this, man. Take a look at this shot. And Vince goes over and Bruce, I think that sucks. And without even to beat, Bruce goes, I told him it fucking sucks. Nobody gives me the authority to turn that down, man.
I think this is fake.
You can't say that. I can say that.
Wrestling's not fake!
It's still real to me, damn it.
The unscripted, uncensored, loose cannon of commentary. This ain't WCW. This ain't Monday Night Raw. This ain't SmackDown. This ain't even WWE.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
The recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
You're listening to Marks on Commentary.
You're listening to Marks on Commentary with myself, Eddie Brophy.
I'm Jason Smith.
I'm Catherine.
We will never get the hang of that, whether I'm in charge of recording or not.
Nope.
Nope, it's not happening.
Which brings me to my... I do have to cover some topics, because I do know Podomatic, we've expired with our bandwidth, which, here's the thing, I'm cheap as... I'm trying to keep it PG this week. I'm going to do my best. After the self-destruction of the Ultimate Ropey episode, I'm going to try and keep this radio friendly. I'm frugal, we'll say, quote unquote. So I didn't want to pay for another Podomatic subscription. And to prove how cheap or destitute I am, it's $10 a month.
Yeah, that's too expensive.
Yeah, that sucks.
I figured I'd hold out. Well, apparently, I don't know this, but I've been getting emails just kind of ignoring them until I realized, oh, now our listeners are complaining on Twitter. That they
Are they really?
There's been a couple.
Well, because you can't actually listen to the episode. It'll say, like, oh, the bandwidth for this podcast is expired. Now, never mind the fact that we're on iTunes, and Jason, plug all the other crap. What else are we on?
YouTube, Stitcher. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
No. Go to iTunes, though. iTunes is the most beneficial to us, really, in the long run.
Worst case, you can go to YouTube.
Yeah. But I think we should prefer iTunes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Read, review, rate it, do everything you can, because that gets us bonus points.
Yep.
Well, I'm still probably going to have to pay for the subscription anyway just to get tonight's episode on.
Well, I was looking, and the reason why I waited till Sunday to try and record, and we didn't end up doing it, I think it resets at the 5th, or on the 5th, which had already passed.
How cheap are we? This is the deal, wrestling fans, or whoever the hell still listens to the podcast. I had a meltdown. I went into hiding. Jason's cheap, and Catherine is apparently attractive to some of our Twitter followers who I think that we should explore that area more.
It wasn't Twitter, it was YouTube.
Well, YouTube, Twitter, what have you. I think we should make that a segment on the show.
Should we get like an Indiegogo page up so we can like make $10?
We can get a Kickstarter.
Kickstarter, that's what I'm thinking.
Get a Kickstarter. Everybody start donating money to our Kickstarter. And it may or may not go towards making the podcast and or snacks.
Normally I'm not for begging, but at this stage in the game, I would take one of two things. We create a Kickstarter account so we can actually afford like real recording equipment, or B, or in addition to A, we get someone that knows how to set everything up. Because here's the deal, I'm actually very good at radio-related stuff when it's already hooked up for me.
Yeah.
I'm a producer, not an engineer, ladies and gentlemen. That is why this show has been tanking lately. Can I tell you how stressful it is? But anyways, I've completely gone off, and the self-destruction of the Ultimate Roby continues.
That's all right. You can't connect things. I can't connect things. I can't even connect my friggin' internet. I'm a writer, people. I'm not supposed to be using technology. I'm fine with a typewriter, a pen. I don't need a computer, except for Twitter, and that's on my phone, so I'm good.
So now you're basically picturing Catherine in the bowels of New Hampshire somewhere in a basement that's dark, candlelight with a feather pen.
I wish I could do all of my articles, like, with a quill and parchment. That would make my life so much more entertaining.
I wish that I could just throw around that, like Catherine, I'm also a writer. I'm an award-winning writer.
I'm an award-winning writer, too, so in your face.
So
I made an honor roll in college once.
You went to AI. How sad is that?
Pretty sad.
You should have made it consistently. You should have been student of the millennium.
Man.
So wrestling-related matters here. So I'm completely sober, so this show might be slightly more boring. Raw from the past 2 weeks, because we haven't been on. I'm gonna have to refresh my memory now, because all I really that stuck out from this past Raw was CM Punk once again getting owned by Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, that's true. It's happened quite a bit now.
That's my favorite segment. That's the main event to SummerSlam to me.
Punk and Brock?
Yep. I mean, it's not gonna be, but that should be.
Yeah. No, it's definitely one of the matches I am most looking forward to. Although I will say, I know you guys don't watch SmackDown, but they've had a little bit of on Raw. I am really excited for whatever they're doing with Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow. I have loved the segments between the two of them. They are hilarious, and yet, like, I want to see that match so bad. Like, they took everything that happened at Money in the Bank, and they have just, like, built on top of it so well.
Oh, yeah.
With those two characters.
How many times can we rehash the segment where one guy steals something that belongs to another guy and throws it in, like, the ocean, and the other guy jumps in after it? Like, they did it twice with Stone Cold and The Rock. And
That's true.
They have used that spot. Like, the funny thing is days before, like, I was watching the spot where Mysterio 619 swagger into the river there. It's the same river.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's the Gulf of Mexico.
It's the Gulf of Mexico, but sorry.
I mean, I know they've done that segment before, but I mean, there's only so much they can do when they're told to do that segment again.
Well, okay.
And I think Cody and Damian have made the most of it they possibly could out of building that feud. And I thought it was it SmackDown this week when Damian Sandow, Cody Rhodes came out with the briefcase and opened it up and it was filled with water and seaweed.
It was Raw.
Was it Raw? Okay,
Yeah,
I can't remember. They all blend together for me now.
Well,
I watch too much wrestling.
I've brought it up before, too. How sad is it that I remember during the Punk Taker Mania match build up with the urn, that was literally ripped right out of a SmackDown vs. Raw video game storyline.
Yeah.
I'm pleading with you. Ask the two writers from Marks on Commentary, one who's a little more profane than the other, to just we'll come up with stuff. We could have easily made that Cody Sandow build up much better and much more creative than it's been. But nonetheless, I am really looking forward to that match.
Yeah. Like I said, it was like it's all been done before, but I think the way that the two characters and the two guys doing it are handling it is what has made it not be stale. The fact that like they have just gone all out with it, and like they're so two funny characters, so like the dynamic between them has saved it from being, oh, they've done this before.
I just wish.
Not to cut you out, I'm sorry. A lot of it too is you have two guys that have been waiting for their chance to get to the
it's true.
Go from mid-card to kind of almost main event status. This could be their chance to do it. The best way to do that is to not shoot down any creative ideas. Jason, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No. I just thought that they were gonna like stretch this missing Money in the Bank briefcase story out much longer. Like they could have done so much with that, and then he shows up on Raw with it, you know, a couple of days later.
They could have even like had him walk out in SummerSlam. They could have had him walk out with the briefcase and do it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone else have the feeling it's going to be a ladder match for the briefcase again? Is this what they did with Cena and Ziggler last year at TLC, right?
Yeah.
Did the ladder match for the briefcase?
I don't know, because right now they haven't even like teased the idea that the briefcase could even play a factor in this match. And I feel like we should know that they're going to.
Right.
But at the same time, I think the biggest curve they could throw at us is to not do that.
At the same time, just because they're two, you know, lower card guys, like in the back of my head, I just have this idea that one day they're going to be like, oh, well, you know, the briefcase got wet and that contract was destroyed, so neither of you get the contract.
Yeah.
This is a thought, like, when he opened up the suitcase and, like, the sopping wet, like, destroyed contract fell out, all I could think was, oh, God, neither of them get a chance.
But that would give Cody Rhodes' character so much edge, though, and almost like devil may care sort of attitude. Like, dude, if I'm not in, like, if I don't have this contract, it doesn't matter to me anymore. Like, I'd just as soon have neither of us have it than, you know, me not have it. So I almost like that, because again, it's kind of like, well, you know, I didn't get the briefcase, you screwed me over, so I'm going to spite both of us by just ruining it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that'd be interesting too, because we finally had a Money in the Bank loser, which was Cena, which I was actually really surprised that even happened.
Yeah.
But we've never had like a Money in the Bank briefcase never be cashed in at all.
Right.
So I mean, that to me would be an interesting one if it got wrecked when he threw it, and then it's like, well, tough shit, guys. You know, now nobody's going to the match. Nobody's going to wrestle for the World Heavyweight Championship. Which Del Rio and Christian filler.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, why is that on the card? Like,
I don't get it.
I can name like a bunch of other opponents. Not that Christian isn't good, but that would be better for Del Rio right now.
Sorry, I was just gonna say that, you know, I like that they're finally doing the Ziggler Big E feud, but I'm really disappointed that they ended the Ziggler Del Rio feud where they did.
Well, because it really had no resolution whatsoever.
Right.
I mean, from what I'm reading, the Big E Ziggler match is going to turn into a mixed tag team match anyway with Caitlyn and AJ. So, in a way, you're not even really getting a Big E Ziggler feud as much as you're, again, it kind of feels like you're just getting a filler feud. You're essentially getting a match for the sake of getting Big E and AJ away from Ziggler and still keep Caitlyn relevant.
Yeah.
As far as like the Ziggler and Del Rio thing goes, I think WWE kind of painted themselves in a corner where Del Rio needed to be champion as well as Ziggler at the time.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? Both needed it, and you know, in any scenario like that, it's always better to have the face chasing the champion. That's my.
It just seems so odd because, I mean, poor Ziggler. I mean, he was out for so long with injury right after winning the belt. And then they made this big deal about Del Rio going after him again and took it from him at the next pay-per-view with that really uncomfortable match. And then it was just kind of like, it dissipated. Like, what happened? It was like there's all that heat and all that fire, and then AJ cut up some of Dolph Ziggler's clothes in the middle of the ring, and now it's gone.
I also kind of feel like, though, that they also knew that while both guys needed the belt, that as CM Punk's point phrase, they didn't want to see two guys playing hot potato with the belt either.
Yeah.
It worked for Mankind and The Rock years ago because those were two very interesting characters, whereas not to say that they're not great wrestlers, but they're not characters. They're just two great athletes, but with the exception of that, there's really nothing to go. It'd be like Cody Rhodes and Sandow if they were chasing after each other for a specific belt. How long can that last? Because they're not characters. They're great wrestlers, but they're not great characters.
Yeah. Speaking of Del Rio, though, what about him attacking Ricardo?
That was
finally made his big reveal, like back from what was it? They said that his severe injury that had him out for 30 days, and then
I'm gonna go ahead and say that was your future endeavor moment right there.
I don't know. I think they think Ricardo makes a better face than he does a heel.
He did. I mean, Del Rio worked really well while he was a face for a couple of months, but I think it was because of Ricardo. And I think you're right. Ricardo makes a great face. And I mean, he's a wrestler. It's my hope is he goes back down to developmental and they let him come back up in a couple of months and let him actually wrestle.
I don't know. Maybe stick him with Santino.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, if you're going to use him as an announcer, Santino doesn't need the mic work, but just in terms of making something entertaining, I think that would be cool.
I think it would be funny, not to rehash an old idea, but I think it would be funny if you had a modern day job squad. I think it would be really fun. Well, because think about this, if you will. Now, I'm picturing the Rumble match where Santino pulled out the Cobra thing that he puts on his arm, and then you had Mick Foley pulling out Sacco, and then at one point you had Ricardo coming out in the beat the shit car in the tighty whities. It's just like they're great characters because they're such oddballs.
Yeah.
And you know that they're never going to be taken seriously by the booking. So why not give them a save? Why not make? I mean, you don't even have to play it off like, oh, this is the new job squad. Play it off like, find one of the oddest, like one of the tackiest characters in that locker room and make him like the Paul Heyman for the jobbers.
Wait, aren't you just describing 3MB?
Yes, but they'll actually be funny.
Hey, I love 3MB. Hush your face.
Well, that's the thing though. 3MB, like I felt like 3MB was a great idea in theory.
Yeah.
But it just like I don't like there was that Raw where they actually went to a bar and they were gonna like infiltrate the stage and actually do a song.
Yeah.
That was the thing. If they kept with that, like if all those guys actually played instruments and like instead of coming out to a theme song or something, like they just came out with like they actually set up music equipment and every night in every city they would perform like a new song or something like that or like a cover song. Give them something to work with because I don't like 3MB. The idea theoretically was great, but they didn't do anything, which is keep my attention.
Even if they did something stupid, like it was Damian Sandow that did for like 3 weeks. He was doing like the parodies of people's entrances songs, whoever he was wrestling against.
Yeah.
Like even if they did something stupid like that, like when Damian Sandow did it, it was ridiculous and funny. Even if they did something like that, just I don't know. I love 3MB because they're ridiculous, and I love Heath Slater and Drew McIntyre, and Jinder Mahal is just kind of there for me. But like,
well, that's the thing.
I could go on for hours about how much I wish 3MB could actually be a good, solid trio.
Well, here's the thing, though. They're never going to be taken seriously as wrestlers, but they could be taken seriously as a silly stable. This is why WWE needs a show like Livewire or Superstars, because you could do like a kind of WWE talk show type scenario, but you could do it in the vein of like Jimmy Fallon or Conan O'Brien, and you could take like 3MB and make them in-house band. Like make 3MB like the in-house WWE band, and they're just awful. They're terrible. Why is it fair? Like why do they do this every night? But at least if they get enough TV time, it'll grow on people, and the concept will be kind of interesting to people where when they're on Monday Night Raw, it's like, oh man, it's those guys. Like there'll be a fondness for 3MB that you have right now.
Well, you don't even need a live wire or anything. You could do like a live, Jericho's show, the highlight reel or whatever.
Yeah.
Some kind of...
It's TV.
Yeah, something like that, where somebody's the host and they're the band.
Well, exactly, but that's the thing. It would have to be consistent. Like Miz TV, if Miz did that every Raw or every SmackDown, it would have to stay consistent where they actually like invest a little money into like a stage or like a would-be stage where you have 3MB and then you have the host or whatever trying to say, like, it could easily be a 10-minute segment. It wouldn't even have to take up that much TV time, but it would give them enough face time. That,
even if they started it on Main Event, it's an hour-long show and 3/4 of it is clips from the other two shows. So why not spend 10 minutes and give it to guys like that and try to make them something?
Yeah.
Well, develop your characters by taking all the time you devote to clips and devote it to the cultivation of your character.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. They're characters. They're not great wrestlers, but they're tremendous workers. And obviously, I like 3MB, but I'm just not into them anymore.
I think some of them are better wrestlers than others, but they just have, like, I truly believe Drew McIntyre is a good wrestler. I do like Heath Slater as a wrestler. I don't think he's as good as some of the other guys, but I think that they can hold their own in the ring, or they can be a good character. They have a hard time doing both at the same time.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say that's probably tough for any of the guys in the back, where you could be a phenomenal athlete or you could be a phenomenal character. Lightning in a bottle is when you can be both at the same time, frankly.
Because, like, for instance, Heath Slater. We all know that I was a huge Nexus fan. I've admitted this many times in group therapy. But, Heath Slater, when he was in Nexus, did a good job in the ring. He had the tag team reign with Justin Gabriel, 3 times they had the belt?
Yep.
Yeah.
And, he proved himself in the ring during that time. And now, he's kind of proved himself as a great character, but he's been incapable of doing both. He's either, not doing the other segments and has been in the ring, or he's been doing the ridiculous segments and getting squashed by everybody that enters the ring against him. And I think if they worked better on getting the 3 of them to mesh better, I think they could go somewhere. But at this point, I think it's too late for them, because they've been squashed for so long and so often that, they have 2 great stables right now that are trios. And if they had a face trio to go against them, that was pretty funny, and even if they got squashed all the time, it would be an interesting dynamic. But I don't think they can even introduce that in the slightest, because everyone knows, the moment 3MB walks on stage, everyone knows they're going to lose.
Yeah. Well, that was, basically when, oh my God, Brodus Clay came out. It was Brodus Clay versus anyone. You knew anyone was getting squashed. There was just no point anymore. Not to jump ahead here, but it was teased on Raw. Ring of Fire. What happened to the Inferno match? It's called the Inferno match.
I have a theory on it.
Jason isn't sure it's an Inferno match.
Because they haven't officially said. If you go on WWE.com, it doesn't even say, Ring of Fire or anything like that. But if I was to take my guess on it, in an age where the pile driver is banned and lighting somebody on fire isn't happening on PGTV.
What? What do you mean?
Okay. What it will be, in my mind, is an Inferno match that ends in a pinfall.
Oh, that would be so lame. Because here's the thing with the Inferno match. It's kind of constraining anyway, and the payoff was not the victor. The payoff was seeing what would happen to the guy that lost.
Yeah.
Right.
We've seen so many, Inferno matches. They're not great matches in retrospect, but at the time they were exciting because it was live TV. Anything could have happened to the performer that lost. So, you weren't really watching the match for the match, because 9 times out of 10 the match wasn't very good to begin with, because how many moves can you do when the ring is literally engulfed in flames?
Yeah. It's like NASCAR. NASCAR's pretty... I like NASCAR, but for the most part, NASCAR's pretty boring, but you watch it anyways in case someone crashes. An Inferno match, it's pretty boring because they can't do a lot, but you watch it because at some point somebody's going to catch on fire, and you don't know if it's going to be at the right time or not. Maybe someone will catch on fire by accident.
And that, the WWE, I remember when it was MVP and Kane, and they actually did a phenomenal job on makeup on MVP's back. That's how he lost at Armageddon. And they actually had the burns on his back of how badly he looked after. I remember at one point not really knowing, because at that same, I think it was the same pay-per-view where the Hardys were in a ladder match with, it was John Morrison and, CM Punk's friend there, Joey Mercury. And I forget who else was in the match. I think it was Mysterio. Was Mysterio in there? Or was it Guerrero? But somebody botched a move, and the ladder actually broke Mercury's nose.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, it was one of those case scenarios where I remember seeing that and being like, oh, wow, something really went wrong there. And then on SmackDown, MVP showing his burn injuries and thinking, oh, man, did they have 2 incidents in one night? Because you couldn't really tell what was a work and well, clearly you knew the Mercury accident wasn't a work.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I even changing it to Ring of Fire seems kind of odd to me.
I don't know if that's just an expression, too.
Well, no, keep in mind, too, that in the WWE video games, isn't it the first to escape the ring, the Inferno match wins or something like that? I feel like in this case, even the Ring of Fire is the winner is whoever gets out of the ring first.
One of the two, I have to imagine that's what it's going to be.
So that'll be interesting to see unfold. But I'm starting to kind of agree with you. I think the reason to change the name at all is going to be because it's not going to be the same match.
Not the same rules.
Yeah.
The thing I'm wondering, is this setting the bar really high for Bray Wyatt? Your first debut match, on WWE TV, is a pay-per-view match in what is, not a fan favorite, but it's still, a very cool, thing to, walk in and see.
I think it is setting the bar really high for him, but I'm not skeptical that he's going to reach it. I have a feeling that he's going to do really well.
No way, this is not setting the bar high at all. You know what this is doing? This is a safety match. Because, think of it, you just said it. It's his debut match as this character at a pay-per-view against one of the top stars of the company. And the ring's going to be on fire. If he's not very good in the ring, that's your excuse why. Well, we can't blame, him for kind of being green or kind of being stiff because the whole ring was on fire. I kind of feel like it doesn't really show much faith in him, actually, because why would you make a person's first match a specialty match? Especially one like, Ring of Fire or the Inferno match. I don't know. I kind of see it as it's kind of insulting in a way because there's a gimmick around the ring. That's almost like, all right, well, this match isn't as good. At least, we could say, well, it was a gimmick match. It wasn't meant to be like an actual good wrestling match. It was just meant to kind of, play off Kane's character. Because that's the thing, too, is I think ultimately we know he's going to win because they just announced they're making a second Evil movie.
Yeah, so we know Kane's going to be gone. And Kane's not going to be gone if he wins the match.
He has the worst record in the Inferno match, too. he's lost all but one.
And funny enough, the one he didn't lose was when he didn't have the mask and the hair and the rest of the suit on, or the gloves. Now he's got the gloves back and he's got the mask. So just if Kane goes out, he's going out either through a leg or through the hand again.
Yeah. I will say that Bray Wyatt, if he wrestles in his full attire, which he did in NXT, he has a lot of loose-hanging clothing that could catch on fire very easily. So you might want to watch out if it is an Inferno match.
I thought he wrestles in cargo pants and a tank top.
And he has the Hawaiian shirt. Oh. He has the loose linen pants and then the big Hawaiian shirt. Sometimes he takes it off, but most of the time he left it on.
Didn't we get yelled at over Bray Wyatt a while back?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the first episodes that you guys took Twitter questions. I think it was before I joined the podcast, and someone's like, "When do you think Bray Wyatt's gonna come to WWE?" And we were like, "Who the fuck is Bray Wyatt?"
I'm like, he looks like Husky Harris.
Yeah.
Oh, it is Husky Harris.
Oops.
See what happens when you grow a beard, ladies and gentlemen. Completely different. Spock without beard, a Spock. Spock with a beard, don't recognize him.
What are we gonna? Speaking of beards, I'm sorry, Daniel Bryan shaving Wade Barrett's beard was horrific and scarring, and I'm unhappy.
But you're a woman, and
I am a woman.
So,
that is my
I wouldn't
input.
notice.
I was very upset about it. Very upset about it. I actually went and bought a Wade Barrett action figure so I can remember the beard forever.
Did you color off the beard, start scraping it off? It has to be authentic.
No, but I did find out when I opened my Wade Barrett action figure that he has ginger eyebrows, apparently.
Oh.
Either that or Sheamus infiltrated my action figure.
Speaking of Sheamus.
Oh no! Don't remind me.
Now, I didn't get the full report on this other than I don't have to be subjected to Sheamus for a while. That was all I got out of that.
Let's put it this way. First, Catherine was upset that Wade Barrett lost the beard, and then she was immediately told that Sheamus was going to be out for 4 to 6 months because he was having shoulder surgery. This is the worst week ever. And one of my favorite independent wrestlers that I went and saw Saturday broke his ankle wrestling Chris Masters. So it's the worst week ever for me wrestling-wise.
You can say this fan or this wrestler's name, we don't charge by the minute or anything.
Ryan Fury.
Ryan Fury.
And he shaved his beard too. I'm very upset.
Oh, now, did he used to be anyone that used to wrestle in WWE? I want to cover all my bases now so I don't sound stupid again. He wasn't a former character who got sent back to developmental, was he? This isn't the whole Wade Barrett Husky Harris situation again, is it? Or there was the Curtis Axel situation where he was in, of course, Ryback used to be Skip Sheffield. I'm trying to sound like a legitimate mark on this show, okay? If she's like, oh, this guy, I'm going to be like, oh, cool, a new guy. No, Eddie, he's been wrestling for a while. Shit. Didn't know that.
Yeah. Anyways, so yes, Sheamus is out for a really long time. I'm really sad, but do you know what? I was talking to my friend about it, and she made me feel better about it, because Sheamus has been booked really poorly for the last couple of months.
I'll agree with that.
He's gotten pretty, I'm going to sadly say stale, because he hasn't had any direction. There hasn't been any development to his character in months.
Sheamus has been stale ever since he started his career in WWE. Who are you
Shut
kidding?
your face.
He should come back tan and with a haircut.
No, he should grow his hair out and dye it black and get a tan.
I actually thought it was hysterical when he posted a picture of him with the shaved head. The fake picture for WrestleMania. Oh, who had the shaved head at the time? He said he was doing like the Brian or something where he had the shaved head. Shave his head, give him a mohawk, grow the hair down to his ass, do something. I would actually like to see him come back as a Viking. That would actually be interesting. A ginger Viking. Make it happen.
I don't think he needs a new character. I'm biased. I know. I'm sorry. I don't think he needs a whole new character. I just think that he needs to be out of the picture for a while. Take the time to recoup. He has been on every show for the last 3 years without injury or time off. And I think he just needs to take the time to relax. And when he comes back, they need to book him very well and just rejuvenate what's going on because he's doing nothing right now.
Again, make him a Viking or make him Italian. Those are your two big shock and awe moments for Sheamus.
Fuck you, asshole.
Irish Italian.
Seriously, give him a blowout and tan him up a bit. Pair him with Zack Ryder. Make them a new tag team.
They're the full-blooded Irish.
Maybe the Celtic Broskies.
Oh my God.
Make it happen.
Oh man.
Hashtag Celtic Broskies.
Somebody make me a remix of that of their two songs together.
Woo woo woo. Oh, what the hell, Sheamus is to the Tito, the time of Tito 2, whatever his, I don't remember what Sheamus' music went like. He was a Viking, yeah, make him a Vikinger. Oh man, Celtic Broskies, yes.
Oh man. Moving on.
I don't want to move on from that. That's brilliant. I want to stay on Celtic Broskies.
I know, I'm a genius. What can I say? All right. That's why I should be running for WWE.
Woo woo, fella.
Jason, but just the way you said that. Woo woo woo, fellas. I don't know how I feel about that. Hey.
Hey.
Do we have Sheamus come back as a metrosexual?
That's awesome. He's tan, he's fully groomed.
Oh my God, if he came back with like slicked hair and gold chains and just like a nice leisure suit.
But he has like the spiky hair, he can just put the headband around it.
The Celtic Broskies. Woo, fella.
I want fan art. Somebody make me some fan art.
Hey, our listeners are pretty damn good about doing that, so I want to see some Celtic Broskies woo fella scenes.
That would be an excellent name for a fan fiction as well. Woo woo fella.
You're opening a whole can of worms, 978-276-9418, that I don't want open. Moving along here, because Jason has packed us with a ton of show topics. I thought you said you were like lacking in show topics.
I thought I was. I don't know. I guess. Yeah. Well, we're not on for 2 weeks, and then we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Man, family storyline. Captain, what we got? Was this in relation or in regard to the Celtic Broskies? Otherwise, I don't care.
No.
All right. Well, woo, fellas, I don't care. I want to talk about the fact that they were going to try and bring Steve Austin back to wrestle Triple H at WrestleMania 30.
What the fuck?
Which, as awesome as it would be to see Austin, and this match will never happen. Why do they keep screwing the fans out of Austin Punk? Why do you hate?
I don't get it. Like, Triple H must know. Like, people in that locker room being like, "Really, Triple H? Like, again?"
Well, why are you hijacking all of our matches?
And not to mention, like, Steve Austin, I mean, I know Punk has said it a gajillion times, but Steve Austin himself has said 1,000 times that if he came back, he wanted to wrestle Punk.
Exactly.
So why would you, why would you even contemplate another storyline? I mean, they're doing so well with Punk Brosner, Punk Lesnar right now. But
you invented a stable or a new tag team, and you just invented an entirely new wrestler. His name is Rosner. And he is Piranha Man's first opponent, Piranha Man Rosner.
Well, I was thinking Brock and Lesnar and Pierce Brosnan all at the same time, apparently.
I now want fan art of Pierce Brosnan merged with Brock Lesnar. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Brosner. Yeah, all right, can we? All right, I want a Kickstarter account right now for Jason and I. I want a Kickstarter account created where Jason and I can be sent to a legitimate wrestling school.
Oh shit!
Where Jason can be Brosner and I can be Piranha Man.
Can I be your manager?
Yes.
Catherine can be our Paul Heyman, and we just tour the country just challenging random tag teams to matches.
we challenged Sheamus and Zack Ryder.
That's at WrestleMania 30 match. Jonathan Rosner versus the Celtic Bruce.
Oh, goodness.
I hope our fans find us funny.
At MO commentary on Twitter, 978-276-9418. Here's the thing, and I think this is a great idea. I want to see if we have any talented, non-spelling wrestling fans out there that can actually compose a wrestling theme or number of wrestling themes for either Celtic Broskies, Brosner, or Piranha Man. If you can do this, I will think of something that we can do for you for the show. Maybe just give you some capstick or some kind of consolation prize.
Oof.
You have to pay for shipping, though.
If we can't pay $10 a month for Automatic, you have to pay for your own capstick. Actually, you have to drive to one of our houses to pick it up. Or you have to drive us to the local CVS to actually pick up your prize for you.
I saw a really horrible CM Punk action figure in Rite Aid the other day. They can have that.
No, what do you mean? Explain a horrible CM Punk action figure to me.
Like, it looks like they made an action figure and then gave a small child a Sharpie and told them to draw the tattoos on.
Oh, that's been like a WWE, WWF staple with their action figures. Does anyone remember Undertaker? Like that toy? Oh,
No.
Man.
Which one?
I think it was the late one, the WrestleMania 15 one. Wasn't there was like a double package with like Kane and Taker? Really, any of the Taker action figures that they created, the tattoos are always awful.
I will say, like I said, I just got the Wade Barrett one, and they did a pretty decent job with Wade Barrett, with the exception of the ginger eyebrows.
I'm always a fan of like the WWE or WWF era ones where they came with like jetpacks and like underwater. This line exists. I had one of the LOD guys.
I really needed to have started watching wrestling like 20 years ago. Oh, God.
No, I want to see this. I want legitimate pictures of wrestlers with jetpacks and like fire extinguisher or whatever weapons or like sort of traveling devices they gave them.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Can someone please make a Piranha Man action figure with like the old diver's bubble helmet?
Oh my God, the old school like scuba diver helmet.
Yep.
If that's the case, then I want you to design a 2-pack where Piranha Man has the old school scuba helmet and Rosner has the old school football helmet that was literally just leather and didn't protect anyone's head at all.
We're making our fans do a lot of shit.
We are.
None of them are going to do this.
No, they won't. That's okay.
That's like and I appreciate the thought, at least. The guy that said, oh, I'll help you guys out. Email me and let me know what your problem is. Why can't Eddie record on his laptop? Just check the email. Granted, I checked like a month later, but nothing. Never taught me how to fix this laptop.
I think he's one of the 2 listeners, so don't
piss him off.
Yeah, don't dig into him.
To get like a wireless thing to go into my USB, which I'm way too cheap to do. So you guys are gonna have to bear with me if my internet cuts out again.
Give him another chance. If you listen to this, email Eddie.
Yeah. Any of you, if you know how to fix things, email us.
I actually just rather a donation set up so we can actually afford legitimate recording equipment and just have one of our listeners set it all up for us.
It's true. Or even if we get enough money, we can just have like Geek Squad do it for us, so we don't even have to worry about meeting people.
Mark's on commentary. We want listeners so they'll just do shit for us.
Anyways, moving on.
The whole reason you have a podcast, you get famous people to do stuff to you. Yes, so McMahon, Triple H, Steve Austin. They were saying that the surrogate was going to be The Rock, but I seem to remember reading a quote where The Rock was basically like, "Yeah, but if I never wrestle again, it won't hurt my feelings. Like I'll be fine with it." Yeah. I think The Rock's done. I don't think he wants to do any more favors for WWE.
I don't
think
know.
he's been done for a while, and he just keeps coming back so he can promote movies, and he doesn't want to do that anymore.
I don't know. I think WWE's gotten smart to the fact that their product exists beyond what you see on TV. And when you say something like that, like, what was it, some Comic-Con or something like that, Punk was like, yeah, I'm not really interested in fighting The Undertaker. So that was, like, off the radar for people for a good year. And then it, like, oh, wait, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's, like, just a way to just, divert the attention of the audience for the time being.
Which is really funny, because every time anybody is ever interviewed, and they're like, what's your dream match? They're always like, WrestleMania versus Undertaker.
Or Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. It's normally Undertaker, though. Some of them are like, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels in a triple threat.
It depends on the guy.
If Jason or I ever become real professional wrestlers, and they ever ask us, hey, what's your dream match? I want us to think of the most absurd wrestler out there.
What?
What's your dream WrestleMania match? I want Santina.
No, if you're Piranha Man, your dream match has to be against Shark Boy.
But it has to be in a giant scuba tank. I want to be in the scuba tank of doom.
Or it could be like on a ring surrounded by a moat full of sharks.
I just want to see a moat just like around the ring with just some. You ever see those State Farm commercials where they're talking about how they're saving money or whatever, and then the girl who doesn't have it has the creepy old guy with the dollar attached to the fishing rod? I want that creepy guy just circling the ring. Just shout words of encouragement to us when we're trying to like get like grappling moves. Oh, you almost got him there. Just the whole match. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I think about in my spare time.
Alright, so we already talked about Brock versus Punk. So the other one was Daniel Bryan versus John Cena.
I don't really think there's much to talk about here. I'm looking forward to the match. I kind of feel like their involvement in Total Divas is killing it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Okay, I will say this. I have been watching Total Divas. I didn't want to, but I ended up getting shamed into it because my dad watched it when it premiered, and I didn't. And then he was really mad that I hadn't watched it, so he couldn't talk to me about it, so I then had to watch it. I have a weird family. I have enjoyed the show, and I have learned valuable information while watching Total Divas. Like, Cena's fantastic as a lumberjack, and that Fandango is incredibly creepy.
I did watch the first one.
Have you watched any of the episodes?
I watched the first one.
So the second one is all about Eva Marie lying to the WWE about knowing how to dance because she wants to be Fandango's permanent dance partner back before they had Summer Rae. And she's like talking to him in the hallway after one of his matches. He's like, well, I'll catch you later. I'm going to go shower. And she's like, okay. He's like, I'll be thinking about you in the shower. It's like,
This is WWE meets the Kardashians. Like, that's what this show is about.
It really is. And dude, I think it's bringing in other viewers that wouldn't necessarily watch wrestling.
Cougars.
Yeah.
And females in general.
Yeah, cougars.
I think it's bringing. I think the best thing that's come out of it is that Natalya got a match and was able to win it.
I will agree 110% with Catherine right now. I think this is WWE actually thinking there's a market for female wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Not just any kind of female wrestling fan, attractive female wrestling fan. Because isn't that the whole idea of having a diva show on E? They could have picked any Universal owned station. They picked E. Why? Yeah. Because they think that E has attractive viewers.
Well, and it has female viewers. Period. There's not a lot of us, and I think it's the perfect way to bring in, the girls that watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians and all those stupid reality shows. Because if they watch them on E. And they've been showing Total Divas like twice a day, every day since it started airing. And I think it's going to bring some of them into watching wrestling. And I think it's going to hopefully continue to bring attention back to the Divas division, which has been floundering for years now.
True.
And I mean, if it has to be done by watching Nikki Bella cuddle with a shirtless John Cena, I'm okay with that. Because they were both scantily clad.
The only thing I can hope that comes from this is we have, like, a male version of this. Not that I want to see, like, catty guys or anything, but I mean, like, I want to see, like, the life story of, like, somebody on the road Like, that, to me, is interesting. Like, I don't give a fuck about the Divas. But if
You
you were...
will, you will never get that, though. I'm telling you right now, with the exception of DVD releases, you will never get that because it's actually what wrestling fans want. Real wrestling fans want the day-to-day kind of boring stuff of, like, Randy Orton's DVD was actually surprisingly phenomenal because I got everything I didn't think I'd get, but kind of secretly wanted from a Randy Orton DVD. I wanted to meet his wife. I wanted to see his relationship with his daughter, his backstage interaction with the guys.
Does he walk around shirtless at all?
Probably.
Well, then that's all I need out of it.
It's on Netflix.
Excellent. Life made.
Get like a really candid, like, honest to God documentary, like you got Wrestling with Shadows with the Bret Hart documentary, or Randy Orton's DVD, or even CM Punk's DVD, which was phenomenal. I mean, something like that would be great, but you're not going to get it on either.
I know, it would be so cheap to produce, too. If you took, like, random road trips with, like, wrestlers, like, you put Zack Ryder, Santino, whoever, CM Punk in the car, and they drive for an hour, like, for 1 week, you follow them around and watch them fuck with each other, whatever. That would be amazing.
I just had a stroke of genius, right? A stroke of absolute genius. You take Sheamus and Zack Ryder, the Celtic Broskies. Here's your show. Road to Brodemption.
That's terrible.
Oh, God, that's amazing.
Road to Brodemption is a real thing. I need our listeners to get behind it. Hashtag Celtic Broskies. Hashtag woo-woo, fella.
I think what you were saying, Jason, I think something like that would only be possible if they ever follow through with that whole WWE network thing.
Yeah.
Because they would have too much airtime to not do shows like that.
True.
And I think that's because they can only show the classic stuff for so long. They can, what was it, the Legends House or whatever they want to do, where it's just a whole bunch of wrestling legends locked in a house together like Big Brother.
Exactly. Why keep making a bunch of shows that your hardcore audience doesn't really want to see?
Right. And I mean, I think if for some reason they ever actually complete this WWE Network thing they've been promising for, 2 years, then I think we would get the opportunity to maybe have something like that. But I mean, even when you look at Total Divas, the amount of time of Total Divas where wrestling is mentioned at all is like, and if a 60-minute show, it's probably 5 minutes. Yeah. And it's the Funkadactyls getting let down at WrestleMania. Or, like, the Bellas being like, oh, we're bitches, and them showing a 2-second clip of them fighting the Funkadactyls. Like, I think the reason why Total Divas could be a success would be because it has little or nothing to do with wrestling.
No.
That sounds so weird, but I think the only way that you're going to get viewers through that show is if you make it as little about wrestling as possible.
Wasn't this originally developed for the WWE Network? Because I know that Legends House, that they already filmed that. Like,
yeah, that's on the shelf.
Yeah.
That exists somewhere.
But wasn't the Total Divas, wasn't that essentially developed for the WWE Network? Because I
thought so.
I think they're probably just trying to capitalize on it. Like, if we put it on the E-Network, we can get that audience from the Kardashians.
Right. And they might have some sort of contract where, if they get the network up and running, they can show it dually on the two networks.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I really wish that they were able to produce material like that, but who knows if they'll actually do it.
One thing I wanted to point out was, I don't know if you watched the show, Catherine.
Yeah.
Did you notice how the canceled WrestleMania match?
Yes.
Did you see my tweet on this earlier?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
How they made it look like Punk and Taker.
Yeah, it was supposed to...
That was the match before when they were supposed to come out.
Exactly. But I went back. I'm like, wait a minute. What was the card? The match before the John Cena match was Triple H and Brock. That went long. That's why the match got bumped. No mention of that. No little highlight reel, but apparently CM Punk and Undertaker got a nice little highlight reel.
Yeah. Which, looking at it, I didn't realize going into WrestleMania that was where that match was supposed to be. What a weird friggin' place for that match to have been put.
I don't know. They did the Brodus Clay dance number right before the main event 2 years ago.
You call my mama thing. That wasn't that right before the block match?
It was terrible.
I didn't watch it last year, so I don't know.
Well, we got last WWE topic I want to cover is the Randy Orton Fan Incident, where the fan runs the ring in South Africa and basically nut shots him.
Let's just say it'll be a while before Randy Orton makes more children.
I always thought, because this sort of thing does happen. I could be wrong, and somebody, an actual mark, come out and be like, "Oh, you idiot! This totally happened." But why? I mean, I know. Well, for example, Christian did it with Edge at Breakdowns. I guess it has been done, but to introduce like a new, wrestler, so like a rookie star, to kind of play it off.
He wasn't someone who was coming into the WWE. He was some random independent wrestler in South Africa.
But no, I'm just saying. But wouldn't it be ingenious, because this got a lot of press coverage?
Yeah, well, that's what he wanted.
More than it should have.
But why hasn't?
I think Randy Orton getting hit in the balls is definitely.
Yeah, but that sort of thing happens, though.
He thought to, like, if they get a guy from NXT, be like, you know what, we should totally plant this guy, because it is well known, and it does get press that, fans do run in the ring and attack our wrestlers. Why don't we actually build it where we'll have an actual indie wrestler that we sign? We won't try to do our best to, like, hide it, and we'll plant him when we're overseas, have him attack one of our wrestlers, and we'll feed the story to TMZ, and we'll try to get as much coverage on his head. And then the lead up to the pay-per-view match that they don't know we're going to have is that every now and again he'll try to keep going after the same wrestler, and we'll have security chase him out of the building. We'll give them a few more, press releases about, we're going to sue this guy. We've got like the containment order or whatever on him, and then have the wrestler be like, no, I want to take this guy out.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me would be an interesting way to introduce a wrestler, but also it was reminding me of it was an MTV Beach Party event where a fan attacked NWO, namely Kevin Nash, and they actually humiliated the guy on live TV. And Kevin Nash got really intense. The guy's face and said, "I plan on pressing charges."
Well, that was like the guy who got punched by CM Punk last year, 2 years ago. Last year, when someone hit CM Punk and CM Punk turned around and decked the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And they were talking about pressing charges and stuff. I mean, it's kind of like that. I don't know. I will say my favorite part about the entire incident was at some point somebody did an article about it. I forget which article I was reading, but they were like, "Oh, when asked if Randy Orton was going to be facing like suspension or punishment or whatever, a WWE official responded, 'No, Randy Orton was a victim.'" And like went on this whole tirade about how they weren't going to punish him for like self-defense. It's like, I'm sure Randy Orton really appreciates that you called him a victim.
The thing that stands out to me the most is I had a chance to work in professional sports. I worked for the Red Sox, and just like any other professional sport, is if a fan or anybody jumps into like the playing area or anything, the immediate thing is to take the camera and point it towards the audience, point it anywhere else, but on the field.
They did that a couple of weeks ago with Raw when there was a huge brawl in the audience.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't even mention it.
You don't want to glorify that to your audience. WWE turns around, takes the clip, and throws it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
On their official channel, plays it on WWE.com.
Yeah.
Something's odd. Like, whether it's real or fake, to me, if it's real, that's the fake move, or that's the wrong move.
Yeah.
So, that's what stood out to me is, like, why I questioned if it's real.
Well, 978-276-9418. We'll look for your opinions on that, or at MO Commentary on Twitter. I kind of want to fly through the whole TNA thing because we do have weeks I want to get to, and
definitely.
Jason has offered a Gangrel interview update here.
Sort of.
Even I'm in the dark on this one, ladies and gentlemen. So
it's not much beyond what I've already told. Well, fuck it, I'll do it right now. No, I tweeted him about a week ago, and he was, trying to set it up hopefully for today. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I guess he's doing some kind of shoot or something along that lines. I didn't want to push the subject too much and be like, well, how about next week? I'm kind of touch and go with it, tweet him I don't want to be like the annoying fan who just like, hey, how about now? How about now? How about now? I think I got to get him on a good day.
Yeah, I mean, if he does it, then he's doing a huge favor to us, and the last thing we want to do is put him in a weird place where he feels obligated to do it or like annoyed by us when he's doing us a favor by coming on the show. So I don't blame you for not.
I've said before, if it's easier, don't necessarily ask like, will this work good for you? Ask him, ask him to give you dates. Don't ask him for a date. Ask him to just give you dates.
Oh, definitely.
Even if it isn't a Thursday, we'll make it work.
Oh yeah, absolutely, definitely. And I just hope people don't think like, oh, they're making shit up. He's not really coming on. I take a lot of flack for doing this. I don't want to lie to the audience. We've talked to him. He follows us. It's not a bullshit story. We're not trying to gain publicity through making up some story. He's going to be on the show, hopefully, or he gave his word that he would be on the show. That's all I can say.
And understand, ladies and gentlemen, that we have gone through so many technical snafus on this show, and just snafus with host, me, and just everything in general. The fact that he's even still humoring this is nothing short of miraculous. So
yeah. Even if he's leading us on, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you got to talk to him.
He still follows us, so.
It takes 5 minutes away from me getting drunk and ranting about people on YouTube calling us names, and me wondering how someone who lives in their mother's basement could grandstand like that. But that's another story for another day. I am not drunk, and I am fine, and I am not about to attack our smelly, awful wrestling fans. So. But TNA...
I want to jump on this real quick, if you don't mind. I don't know if you know, like, the whole August 1 warning build-up that they were trying to do.
I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
It was just, supposedly they were trying to make a lot of, like, impact with it, and they announced, or it was revealed that it was Tito Ortiz. And I was just like...
Guess that, like, 2 weeks ago, that he was coming?
Something. I saw, to be fair, I saw somebody tweet that, and I was like, you know what, that seems most logical. And then the night before he showed up on, Bellator Fights, it only made sense that it was going to be him. Originally, I didn't think it was a terrible idea. You know, to me, he was he's much bigger star than King Mo. He's kind of tied with Rampage Jackson, but you're drawing this weird line where, they're doing real fighting over there, but fake fighting over here. It almost questions the legitimacy of that over there. I don't know. Anyways.
Essentially, TNA is becoming a company founded on Brawl for All.
Yeah.
Essentially, they're just loading the company with UFC fighters who really don't give a damn about the product or the company.
It's funny you mentioned that. So, I think it was like 4 days later, I'm on Twitter. I make a little comment directed towards Tito Ortiz. I tag him in it saying, and I looked at his feed. 4 days later, the guy's not even made a single mention that he's on that product. And then I criticize him. I'm like, wow, it'd be nice if he'd, plug TNA. And then guess what? He miraculously makes a tweet and blocks me.
Yeah. Which, I saw your tweet and I laughed because I thought it was funny. But there was, like, nothing that you said that was offensive. Yeah. All you said was, hey, they made this big deal about, how he was coming, and it was really cool. At least you said something sarcastic, like, how cool of him to, like, tweet about the product and make a huge buzz. Like, not. And then, like, it was, the way you said wasn't even, like, block-worthy.
I don't know. Fuck him. Yeah. Tito Ortiz is Tito Ortiz is a bitch. Come fight me. He can't even fight anymore, I guess. Like,
Jason, don't get into physical alterations with these people.
Come on, Tito Ortiz.
I can't even talk anymore.
I'll watch your wife on YouPorn, and I'll kick you in your balls.
A Piranha Man can only do so much.
I would definitely see Tito Ortiz versus Piranha Man.
Yeah. Piranha Man's like $1.24 these days.
I will see Piranha Man versus what's her face? Jenna Jameson. I'll pay for that.
Oh Jesus.
Who would win in that? Do you think you could kick Jenna Jameson's ass, Eddie?
I'd have to wear a biohazard suit if I even went near her, because those fuckers can jump.
Oh, man.
All right, fuck Tito Ortiz.
Yeah, well, fuck Kurt Angle, too, because honestly, like, I like that there's someone out there that makes me look like less of an alcoholic. I'm going to be honest with you.
My God, like, I just feel bad for him at this point.
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't know.
Just explain it to me.
Okay, explain this to me. How do you feel sorry for Kurt Angle and not for your co-host? That's what I want an explanation.
I don't know.
I don't feel sorry for either of you.
I don't know. I just feel bad for a guy who had so much potential. Well, he does have potential. I don't know how I want to say this, but he was so good. And then, like, he just fucking crumbled. Like, the pills got him, and then when it wasn't the pills, now it's booze, 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 fucking around with, what's her face, Raka Khan. I don't know if you know who she is, but...
If he wasn't such an antagonistic piece of shit on, like, Twitter with other wrestlers and fans, I would actually feel sympathy for him. Like, if he went after the right people, then I'd kind of be, like, on his side. I'd be like, oh, man, Kurt Angle, you were such a lush, but I'm on your side. He's just a bitter, angry old man. And the thing is, he can still go in the ring. And Jericho even said in the DDP pancake video they posted that Angle's kind of a nut job. He's also kind of a racist, from what I understand. But I don't feel sorry for the guy because I feel like mainly like he was supposed to take time off. I remember when he was in ECW and he left, and they said that he had a pill pop problem, and that's why he left. And then like 3 weeks later, sure enough, he's popping up in TNA promo videos.
Yep.
And so I mean, who's really to blame here? If the guy really if he had accountability whatsoever, or he really had an issue, you know, I don't think it's doing him much good career-wise to be in TNA anyway. I think it's a better excuse for him to get away with the booze and the pill pops and whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love Kurt Angle as a wrestler, as an entertainer, but as a person, he's just like a piece of shit. I'm going to be honest with you. Piranha Man has spoken. Hashtag bitches.
All right, last thing I'll touch on with TNA, that actually I don't think is a bad point, is they're supposedly working with the Great Muta, and he's trying to get some promotion going. And my kind of theory, kind of understanding of how it would work would be, I guess they're on Japanese TV and everything like that. They would use their pull on Japanese TV to get this kind of promotion started. Which I'm like, if it caused an influx of like new young talent, I'm all for. So, as much as I want to knock them for a bunch of moves they make, this one actually seems okay.
All right. Well, let's get to some shout out to Alice Bradley.
Absolutely.
She was the VO for the intro. Yeah. Where did you find her? But like, I'm still not savvy of where the hell she came from.
One of our Twitter audience members. So.
Now, one day you just put up this like totally creepy tweet that was like looking for a lady, and then all of a sudden we have this wonderful new voiceover. So thank you, Alice, for not being overly creepified by my co-host.
I kind of want to know if she actually works in radio, because if that's the case, Alice, will you get me a job, please?
She does have her own wrestling podcast. I'm blanking on the name, but I'll tweet it out there for you.
Well, okay, because I'm just throwing it out there that if she happens to have a legitimate radio job, I like legitimate work. Maybe she even knows something about setting up actual recording equipment and not relying on Eddie and Jason to totally parry the show. At GBL316, when do you think Paige will be brought into the main roster, and how will she debut?
That stuff's so hard to predict.
Are you familiar with her?
I know her a little bit. I've heard of her. I've yet to see one of her matches or promos. I've heard she's really good.
Is she the Divas Woman Champion down in NXT?
I think she is now. Okay. She's like the anti-diva. She's all goth and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I think she just won the belt not that long ago. I've heard really good things about her. I haven't seen her myself. I don't get to watch NXT that often. I don't have Hulu Plus or whatever the hell it's on.
I do, but I elect not to watch it that often.
I
have a busy day.
Oh, sure you do, jackass. In your case, are you guys excited for PWG 10 on Saturday? If not, why aren't you? Hashtag MOC, hashtag PWG.
What's PWG?
Wow. All right, I'm in trouble if you don't know it.
I just don't know what is it an acronym for?
Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not that familiar with it.
I've heard of it.
So you're excited about it?
Sure. I'm really excited about it.
I don't know. It's just like it takes time to be like an indie wrestling fan. Like you have to find this shit. You have to torrent it.
Here's the thing, and also like I'm more into indie wrestling. We've said before, I'm more into indie wrestling. I go to a lot of the local promotions, which is New England. I have gone to so many in the last 3 weeks that I've lost track of how many miles I've put on my car, and that's because I live in the middle of fucking nowhere. So to get anywhere, it's 2 to 3 hours for every show, and I don't have the money to be streaming them online. Yeah. So, yes and no. I would be excited for it if it was more accessible for me to watch it.
See, this is why Catherine is our lady on the street, because she actually goes through these things where it's supposed to be I hate people. So it's good to have Catherine on this show.
Exactly.
Do you think?
So I went to Chaotic Wrestling in Woburn, Massachusetts.
Go Mark Sherman.
Yep, Mark Sherman and Scotty Slade. And then last weekend, I went to Ring of Honor in Providence,
Nice.
where ironically I sat directly behind Scotty Slade, which is really funny.
Nice.
And then Saturday, I went to New England Frontier Wrestling in Chicopee, Massachusetts, which is like a 2.25 hour drive for me people. And ironically, Mark Sherman was there, and I got to talk to him for the first time. I'm a little in love. Why?
Did you tell him we have a podcast?
I didn't want to harass him. I talked to him for like 10 minutes though. And then later when I went to go meet with one of the other wrestler guys that told me to go over so I could talk to him, he did the smile nod to me as he was walking by. So I consider it a good day.
All right.
That's the extent of my indie wrestling knowledge. They're pretty and they're local and they're cheap. So I'm good with it.
That's how Eddie likes his women.
Pretty and cheap? There's no such thing, you fucker. There's no such
Just
thing.
kidding.
There's no such
She
thing.
said local too, so
Yeah.
just kidding. Obviously, you're kidding.
If such thing existed, I'd be all over it. and Handy Y Man 1 2 3 4 5. Now I'm thinking about it.
That's just, oh man, Handyman 1 2 3 4 5. Before we get to your tweet, I'm really upset that you got mad at me last episode when I made fun of your Twitter handle because I made a Spaceballs joke, and you thought I was actually making fun of your Twitter handle, and I'm really sad that you didn't catch on to my Spaceballs jokes, and now I'm just mad at you. All right, continue, Eddie.
What is the worst match each of you guys have ever seen in the last 5 years in TNA and WWE? I'm gonna go right out of the cannon with this and say Jeff Hardy versus where to throw his shirt in TNA.
What did I say? The fake Donald Trump versus the fake Rosie O'Donnell 20-minute segment, which is actually Ace Steel, who trained CM Punk.
Oh my god.
Yep.
My worst match I've ever seen. I don't know. There's been so many bad ones.
Any match involving Brosner.
Probably anything involving Rosa Mendez.
Oh. good
Really
call.
don't like Rosa. I'm sorry.
It's okay if she's managing the tag team.
But you just like it because she wears skimpy shorts and wiggles her butt around.
Pretty much.
At Miss WWE 16, when do you think Randy Orton will cash in his hashtag MITB contract?
The moment after Daniel Bryan wins it?
See, I don't now. Because they're really good now at hiding when that happens. Everybody thought Ziggler was cashing in at Mania, and what happened? He cashed in the next night when nobody expected it.
I think they might. I don't know. It's weird because I honestly feel like if Daniel Bryan wins at SummerSlam, they'll give him some time before they'll have Randy Orton take the belt from him.
Really?
I actually am starting to come around to the idea that they actually are behind Bryan and they will actually push Bryan. Just they won't push him as long as we want them to. But I think they'll give him a few months before they give it back to Orton.
I don't know. He rejected their corporate makeover that made him look like Damien Sandow. I think they're probably mad at him.
I really do think that personally I think you're gonna see Orton and Cena at Mania. I think that's gonna be your main event.
The main event?
Which, this is gonna sound crazy. I would be okay with another Cena Orton feud. I think it has been long enough that they haven't fought each other that I would be okay if they feuded against each other again. I wouldn't want an incredibly long feud, but if that happened, I would be okay with it at this point.
I'm okay with it being a WrestleMania match. I'm not okay with it being the main event.
All right. Yeah. Well, one of the main events because obviously you're gonna have Taker versus probably Brock. You're gonna have. I'm going with Orton versus Cena, and I think you're gonna end. Honestly, I really do think you're gonna end with Triple H and McMahon. I could be wrong, unless they find a good, solid World Heavyweight Championship match. Because that's a tough one because you know that they're going to push for Triple H McMahon or Triple H versus whoever's in McMahon's corner.
You know what?
If it's a name, then
what makes sense now, honestly, would be Triple H versus Bryan at WrestleMania. I think that would be awesome.
Hi, Triple H likes Daniel Bryan.
What? Well, I don't know. To me, Triple H is a better heel. So, I don't know. It works better. I think.
See, I would be okay if it was I would actually really like it if it was Cena, Bryan, and then it was like, but they were each getting backed by, like, if Cena was getting backed by Vince McMahon, and it kind of was evil, and then Bryan was getting backed by Triple H, and then it was kind of like for control of the company. Like, if your wrestler won, then you would get control of the company. I would be happy with something like that. But
I even think that idea is terrible.
well, screw you.
No, I don't mean what you just suggested, but I mean like the controlling of the company at WrestleMania. I feel like that happens like once a year.
What are you going to do with CM Punk at Mania? Because already I'm already thinking like, all right, well, obviously they're probably going to go the way of Taker versus Rock, because everybody, the only thing is it's too little too late. I feel like if they gave that to us like 4 years ago, it would have been phenomenal. Now it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah. I would have no interest in Brock Lesnar, Undertaker.
Unless Punk wants his rematch with Taker, because they did Michaels 2 years in a row, they did Triple H 2 years in a row, but stop CM Punk going 2 years in a row.
And Punk was like so close that I could
is.
see. I know, but I could see the reasoning that they could give to give Punk another shot at it.
I think Punk's going to be face for a while.
I honestly, if they did it, they would completely rehash the Shawn Michaels Undertaker rematch, where Shawn Michaels thing like came so close.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could see that.
Isn't every Undertaker feud just a rehash?
Eh.
It's all the same thing over and over again. It took CM Punk dumping the ashes of Paul Bearer over Undertaker to get any sort of rise out of people about that matchup.
I don't know. I'd say that was the highlight leading up to WrestleMania for me.
Well, because CM Punk was in the match. I'll be honest with you. To me, it didn't matter that Undertaker was in that match. It was still a CM Punk match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nowadays, anyone versus Undertaker is an anyone match. It's not an Undertaker match. It's anyone versus Undertaker.
Right.
It's essentially their match.
Right.
At Mate083, what will happen first? Rampage versus Tito in a hashtag TNA ring, or the company closing its doors? The company closing its doors.
I don't know.
You know what will happen first? Sting versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. That will happen first.
That's always a possibility.
They said that allegedly Sting was throwing out feelers, but you know how the internet is, that sort of thing. At In Your Case, any picks who will win the Ring of Honor title tournament? That is all Captain and Jason.
Yeah, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, back when Jason and I didn't know any of the people in the tournament.
Yeah.
And then I went to the Ring of Honor taping last weekend, and I saw the first couple of matches for the first round of the tournament. Most of which, I'm really sad to admit, were really boring. And maybe, okay, the Ring of Honor taping, it started at 7:30, and we didn't leave the building until after 11:30. And there was like a 10-minute break, and that was it. So it was really long, so maybe by the time they got to those matches, I was just really tired, because I had driven 2 hours to get there to begin with. But most of the matches were really boring. The only one that I had any excitement for, like, looking forward, are the Kevin Steen matches. And that's because I like Kevin Steen. I think Jay Briscoe has interest, but I'm going Kevin Steen.
I don't know. I don't follow it too much, but I think the Briscoe one makes sense in that you can get a return match probably with the brother.
Yeah. That would be my thinking, is that they would give it to Jay just to have his brother come back.
Exactly.
And then they could have an interesting feud that way. Which, speaking of Ring of Honor, the thing we didn't mention was BJ Whitmer.
Oh, yeah.
And the pile driver onto the apron.
Scariness. I haven't seen it yet.
It's pretty scary looking. Did you hear about that, Eddie?
I heard rumblings about it, but I didn't hear about where it happened, how it happened, or who it happened.
They were in Canada, and it was Mike Bennett, who ironically has a WWE contract now. It was just a weird fluke where there was a spot called where he was supposed to do a pile driver onto the apron. He was supposed to pile drive BJ, and his head was just too low when he went to go do the pile driver, and he ended up being unconscious in the ring. They ended up having to bring him to the hospital. And I mean, he's fine. They said he has feeling in his extremities. He's home now, resting and recuperating. But apparently, it was very incredibly scary, and it was a very close call. So I guess that, I mean, it calls into question the act of the pile driver, which is something that is mostly banned in the WWE, but is still allowed in the indies. And you can see, I mean, from that scary example, why it's banned in the WWE. But I know there's differing opinions about whether or not it should be allowed.
Well, for the most part, it's kind of an unspoken thing with a lot of wrestlers that it's just not a move you use.
Right.
I don't know why any company or any booker or anyone calling a match would even attempt to do a pile driver on a ring apron.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's hypocritical for me to say that that's kind of an odd choice, considering I think some of the best spots ever done in wrestling were done by Shawn Michaels and Undertaker with the pile drivers on the steel stairs.
Right. I think pile drivers in general have a huge impact to a match. I mean, they got in a lot of shit for it, but when Cena and Punk did the pile driver, like, that was a huge thing, partly because it was taboo, but also because it's, whenever there's a pile driver, it's like an oh my god moment in a match. And so you can see why people want to call that spot, because it's such an impact in a match, but it's so dangerous.
I don't know where I stand on that one. I don't know. I think it's that going to become the new thing in wrestling, I guess. Like, because we've kind of been in the darkness for a while with the most mainstream wrestling company being PG. Is it kind of like we're going to go... Because back in the Attitude Era, yeah, it was dangerous, but it was almost like organized chaos, whereas now it's like, what do we do to truly shock people? I don't know. Just do the most dangerous thing you think of and whatever. Hopefully you live after you do it.
Yeah. I mean, people get hurt all the time in wrestling doing moves that are considered easy or safe. To have moves like that in your repertoire, it's great to use sparingly, but is it worth it? Is the payoff worth the risk? And I think WWE has decided, it's really not. And I think it's kind of like normal sports. The NFL makes a decision and it kind of trickles down from there. And I think it's something that should start trickling down into the indies if they're really serious about just prevention.
Well, all right, let's look at it this way. Let's look at it through, and I'll use the analogy of Facebook. The internet is forever. Whatever you say or do, it's your prerogative. It's at your discretion. But if you're looking for a legitimate job, there's a good chance your internet past will catch up with you. Now let's apply that to wrestling. WWE is really it's the monopoly of wrestling. Like, essentially, WWE bought out its competitor, and it's the sole proprietor of all things sports entertainment.
Right.
TNA, as far as we know, I mean, they're probably going to be going bankrupt, closing their doors any day now. So if you're in the indies and that's where you're kind of, you're kind of paying your dues and what have you, is it really smart to do something that stupid? Because when you're sending your tapes or whatever to WWE to review you and give you a chance, are they going to want to sign you? Probably not, because they're going to think, why did you do this? Like, this is totally ridiculous. It's unsafe, and we don't want someone like you in our company, because our superstars are, our assets. They're our commodities. We don't want our commodities being compromised. So,
and I know there's been a lot of question about, not pile drivers, but other controversial indie wrestling. A lot of guys that have gone through like CZW, where it's really intense, the death matches. Like, that's not the image that WWE has. That isn't the type of wrestling that WWE has. And you would think that I love CCW, don't get me wrong. I love that crap. But when WWE is looking at stuff, I know there was a little bit of controversy over like Dean Ambrose, because his indie persona was so off the rocker and did such crazy things that, they worked it into his character when he went to FCW and NXT. But now that he's in the WWE, like, they've taken all those parts of his persona away. So you would think, well, why even bother doing that stuff? I mean, you can say, it'll make you stand out. It'll make you different than everybody else. But you would think that it's harming their reputation moving forward, not improving it.
Well, it is now, because now you don't have 3 companies to go to. You only have one. Back in the days when you had ECW, granted it wasn't a juggernaut, but it was still a reputable company. If you went to ECW, there was still a good chance that WCW, at the very least, was going to have interest in you. Whereas now, you're the only attention you're trying to get is that of Stephanie McMahon.
Right.
I mean, so yeah, to me it doesn't seem worth it. If you want a legitimate run in WWE, and I'm talking all different facets of wrestling, you kind of have to play ball because it's a corporation that is now owning the fact that it's corporate.
Right.
If that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you.
I want to move along here. At Don Duggett, our manager's making a comeback. We've already. I don't want to be a dick here because we have covered this several times, but I will answer legitimately.
No.
No, I think they were about 6 months ago. I think that's a done deal now. I don't think it's gonna happen. I
wish they would, but they're not. I think there's a few that are really strong, and so they've kept them around or give them more people to manage. But it's not like before where almost everybody has a manager. There's a couple of people that have them, and they needed a mouthpiece. And other than that, which, speaking of mouthpieces, I was shocked to see Brock Lesnar speak on Raw.
That was awesome.
I was like, what? He talks?
But now you know why he doesn't talk.
Exactly.
Say something stupid.
Yeah.
I think that was legit, too.
Yeah.
He just turned to him, say something stupid. I thought that was a genius line. Like, that was fed to him beforehand, though.
Yeah.
That had to be.
Yeah.
Man, that guy is all kinds of scary, but as soon as he opens his mouth, you're not so scary, Mr. Lesnar.
There's a reason Paul Heyman has a job, and that is Brock Lesnar.
You ever seen the college picture of him?
No.
Oh, it's amazing. That's going to be the artwork for this week.
Excellent.
I'm going to cover these last two rather quickly. At OAM91, do you think that WWE stopped the Mark Henry versus the Shield feud?
No. They just had Mark Henry and the Usos on main event taking on the Shield, which was excellent, except that they went to do an awesome spot and then stopped it. The Usos were going to fling Mark Henry across the ring like a battering ram, and they didn't, and I was really sad.
At OAM91, Catherine just answered your question for you. They had them wrestle on main event. Done deal.
I think they're hopping on one foot till Big Show gets back.
Yeah, right. It was supposed to be Mark Henry and Big Show, I read, versus the Shield. It was supposed to be a handicap match, the two giant guys versus the Shield. And then they kind of had to keep going with the Usos feud because Big Show isn't back yet. I think the Mark Henry feud with the Shield, I think it was poorly timed because I really wanted Mark Henry to keep going after Cena. But I think it's a good feud, and I have liked the matches that have come out of it. I think they've had some really great matches. They've had some terrible promos, but I think the matches have been great, and so I would like to see that continue. Without the Usos, because I hate the Usos.
At JBL Dragon, that's an interesting Twitter handle. Should they have more?
Sounds like it's penis. All right, never mind.
No, I'm picturing really bad internet comic artwork of just JBL and his dragon.
Petting his dragon.
Should they have more fun with extended Money in the Bank briefcase holders like they did with the Hardcore title when it was 24/7? I say by the time that this thing, and I really do think the Money in the Bank thing has run its course. I think when the WWE finally catches up to the fact that it's run its course, I think they should have giant smorgasbord matches like they did at the Backlash in 2000, where there's 10 guys in the ring, and it's a timed match where it's they're just all wrestling, and some guy gets pinfall. Oh, so-and-so is the new Money in the Bank holder. And
it's like a strangle match?
No, the Hardcore Battle Royal.
Yeah, well, yeah, when it was essentially somebody would win, and then the clock would still be ticking down, so the guy'd be running around the building trying to basically hold on to the belt when the time expires.
And then they can fuck it up.
Yeah.
You know they fucked up that match at WrestleMania?
Did they?
Yeah. Bob Holly walked out the champ or something. It was supposed to be Crash who walked out. And they fucked up the time because I guess the clock froze. Go back and watch the last minute of it. You can see the clock, it freezes and then disappears.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, the more you know, as they would say. Feel free anytime to get at us at MO Commentary on Twitter. Obviously, we need some more callers, 978-276-9418. We actually had a caller from the 26th of July, I think it was. I just checked the phones tonight.
Nice.
I think it was from Texas. We can't actually listen to it because...
yeah, wait. I'll play it.
Hey, yeah, what's up, Marks on Commentary? It's William. I'm a pretty big fan. I just wanted to say keep up the good work, and I really enjoy your show. Thanks.
Wasn't that awesome?
Yay!
Thanks to
Good
our
editing.
awesome
What a
guy.
fantastic listener. No, I actually heard the call earlier, and I actually thought it was a really nice call. So thank you to our fan from Texas, I believe it was.
I'll hear it when this episode airs.
I might start vlogging on my own channel.
Oh, oops.
Shanley.
Ciao.
Shanley.
Please, I might plug in. Jason, I just made you commit to the vlog.
No, I've been thinking about like doing a vlog every day, or at least maybe once a week. So if you can head over to my personal channel, that's Decidedly So 8 on YouTube.
Yeah.
So-
Well, while we're plugging our own individual work,
Absolutely.
I'm considering, and if I get some positive feedback, I'll probably start doing it. Because right now I write sporadically for Fan IQ covering WWE. I've been really bored of writing about WWE. I think it's because we're doing the podcast that I feel like I'm repeating myself. So I kind of want to start writing about indie wrestling, and just kind of start like a blog for New England wrestling, and maybe get some people in some other areas
Awesome.
of the U.S. to write about stuff. So
that's a good
if you guys
idea.
are interested or think it's a good idea, let me know. Hit me up on Twitter. I'm at VLNPLYR2. Yeah, just hit me up on Twitter and let me know what you think. And because I think it would be a lot of fun, because I've been spending way more time going to indie wrestling than I have been watching WWE.
Nice.
My brother called me a hipster of wrestling because I go to TV shows. I was almost kind of proud.
I actually have a Twitter. Hold on, I have to find out what my Twitter is.
It's at thrift store something, right?
I mentioned you like a bunch of times, so.
Yeah.
Yes, at Thrift Store Stage. Yes, because I'm a pretentious hipster like that. No, I just happen to work at a thrift store. I may start doing something non-wrestling related, so nobody cares. But if you ever want to yell at me on Twitter for not tweeting enough, I think I literally have one tweet.
Speaking of tweets, we passed the 4,000 mark on Twitter. Thank you all.
Wait, I have 7 followers? When the fuck did this happen?
They're probably all fans of the show. I probably
Yes,
mentioned
they
you.
are. Wrestling fan, Dan, Logan Landers, Christian. Okay.
He'll take them. Go over there and follow Eddie.
Yeah,
I have a tweet that we're mentioned in. So before we started recording, I tweeted. I said, now it's time to record new Marks on Commentary. I'm excited. And Dave the Heel, remember Dave the Heel?
Yes.
He wrote back and asked if we were going to live discuss Impact Live. Since you guys can just live discuss Impact Live. So I'm responding and I'm saying, no, we can live ignore Impact.
Okay, here's the deal, and I actually, this is what I want to kind of bring to the table. There are channels, I don't know how the hell we're going to do it, because I tried this maybe 2 or 3 times when I did a podcast, doing a live show sometimes, just for shits and giggles, just to see if people, and we could, granted, I don't know if any of us are going to actually be able to hear it. Maybe this is something we may want to work on when we have a reliable computer, but doing an actual live show, and if we do it on Thursday night, doing a show and mixing it with us, sadly, actually paying attention to TNA Impact.
Yeah, we can do that.
Just a thought. If you're down for that thought, you can tweet us at MO Commentary or at Thrift Store Stage, because apparently I have followers didn't know anything about it.
I do love the one video you posted up there, though.
I want to know how many followers you have?
No, he posted a video about the Revere flea markets, which I thought was fucking hysterical.
Revere flea markets? Why, no?
Dude, you have 7 followers. That's impressive.
For a guy who doesn't tweet.
Yeah. And almost all of them are wrestling fans.
That's awesome. And that would be the irony of my life, that I'm on a show called Marks on Commentary, and I hate Marks, and my Twitter followers are wrestling fans, and I hate wrestling fans. So, Team Eddie.
Just smelly kids on a train that annoy you with stupid questions.
The worst part was after we did like that whole spiel about how much we hated wrestling fans because they were really smelly and weird, so many people tweeted us afterwards to agree with us. We're like, but we're talking about you!
No, I think there's a smarter wrestling audience, but I think there's definitely a smelly wrestling audience.
Well, I also like the fact that after the self-destruction of the Ultimate Brophy aired, our Twitter feed ran out of bandwidth.
Well, that's a good sign, though. I don't take that as a negative.
Well, here's the thing. This is why I want to clear the air. That was not a planned thing. That could not have been timed better. in my opinion. So if there were an OVW of podcasting, that's where I've been for the past couple of weeks.
I
So.
wonder if the fan podcast ran into any bandwidth issues. Oh, shots fired. Fuck you.
Oh no, not the fans podcast. We haven't made fun of them in months.
Yeah, well, fuck them. I wanna.
I don't know what's become a more predictable element of the show, which is why I thought it would be unpredictable when Jason's hatred of the fans podcast or my inability to not be disgruntled when drunk.
I bet he hears it in his basement and he's just like, Mom!
You're making fun of me again.
Because he sits there.
Oh, you're so mean.
Like, dude, get some fucking friends and talk to them. It's pretty fucking sad.
I want to know how Jason really feels. Is where I'm at right now.
Fuck fan podcast.
I think Brosner's first rivalry should be with the fan podcast.
Definitely.
I agree. We need some action figures. Somebody make Pronneman and Brosner, and then I don't know. I don't have a wrestling name to be your manager.
And then just get like a Matrix figure, and you could use it as the fan podcast.
Screw that. You get like Lifeguard Ken or something.
Anatomically correct. I don't know why. I just want to tell him to go fuck himself again.
Oh man. For people that haven't listened to those podcasts, we do like other wrestling podcasts. We get along with them well. Just when you start copying our material and then like when we confront you about it, go, "Oh, I'll never do it again," and then immediately do it again, we're gonna confront you about it again. And then you're not allowed to get pissed and block us when we do, because you're stealing our shit.
That's all. I've given shout-outs. I'll give plenty of shout-outs to other... If you got a wrestling podcast, I'll give you a shout-out. Just don't be a dick to me.
Yeah, if you give us a shout-out, we'll give you a shout-out. We'll acknowledge you. You acknowledge us. All we're doing is helping each other get to the ultimate goal. But if you're going to be a dick, then we're going to be a dick back.
All right. Enough of this malarkey. Let's move on to something.
Malarkey.
Yes, we're going to move on to the end of the show because we're all out of shit to talk about, my friend.
Technically, yes.
Technically, on paper, yes, we've run out of stuff. But
I have like 8 Microsoft Office windows open for no reason. We can talk about that and how I'm totally inept at technology.
978-276-9418. I'm calling it before Jason uses more outdated 1950s lingo and Catherine starts ranting in her basement doing monologues by candlelight with her feather pen.
It's called a quill.
Her quill. Because up in New Hampshire, they haven't discovered electricity yet.
That's not true. I have electricity. I don't live in a log cabin in the middle of nowhere.
Gerbil on a wheel.
Catherine doesn't even participate on this show through a laptop. It's actually a tin can phone that...
Hey, I'll have you know that there are no horses around my house for at least a mile.
Catherine is actually Morse code that we get Catherine on the show with. Now here's Catherine via smoke signal.
Is it just like Japanese anime voiceover girl talking instead of me?
I like how Jason's smoke signal sounded like Morse code. What the hell just happened?
I thought you said Morse code.
Yeah, but then I moved on to smoke signal.
Oh, we didn't hear the smoke signal.
I can't make a smoke signal sound. That's all I got.
I love it. The same idea. Okay.
This has been Mark's on commentary. I'm Eddie Brophy.
I'm Jason Smith.
And I'm Catherine.
I said good day.
Said good day, sir.